G'day everyone, it's Aussie Dollar Man here, and these are the 7 things I check before every trade. Number 1, major cycle. For me, that's a law of vibration cycle taken from Gann's book, The Tunnel Through the Air, and it will look something like this. In this case, the cycle told me the market was going to be running down for 3 weeks. So during those 3 weeks, I would only look for short trades so that I'm trading in the same direction as the major cycle. Now, I don't just trade one cycle in isolation. I also have a medium cycle, which is another law of vibration cycle from Tunnel Through the Air. There's more than one. It's more than 2, actually. And I also have a smaller cycle, which is based on Gann's planetary system. Now, how do cycles work together? Here's a quick example for you. Going back to those 3 weeks down with that pink line that I drew earlier, here we add an additional cycle in, which is a little bit smaller, and you can see the blue line tells you the first week and a half of that 3-week down move is going to be really good for short trading. Then the next week, the blue line is going to the upside, so it's no longer in sympathy with that major cycle. And then for the last week there, it's running down again in the same direction as that pink line. So notice when both lines are pointing in the same direction, you tend to get a stronger trending move. And when they're pointing in different directions, you often get a choppy sideways period that's very hard for trading. So that's why I like to combine 3 cycles together. Where do you find those cycles? They're in Gann's book, The Tunnel Through the Air. They are coded and they're coded pretty well. But if you spend some time, you can crack that code. You can extract those cycles and they are very, very valuable. I've recorded a Tunnel Through the Air audiobook. You can find that on this channel and the link is in the description as well so that you can listen to the book. And if you spend some time in that book and if you spend some time doing the recommended reading, I did a video for what you need to read, and extracting that background knowledge, you can start extracting the cycles from Tunnel Through the Air. 4th on my checklist is a roadmap, which gives me the pattern of the market. This is a simple repeating pattern based on a previous move in the market. And this technique is taught in the WD Gann stock market and WD Gann commodities course. So you can learn more about it there. Next is form reading, which involves swing charts, bar charts, market signals, sections of the market, etc. I give examples of that each week in my Aussie Dollar Insights video, which you can find on the channel. I have a monthly, a weekly, and a daily chart there. So I'm applying all of my form reading skills to each of those charts to work out what's the big picture trend, what's the medium term trend, what's the small picture trend. Am I seeing any trend reversal signals there? Is it time for the market to turn around and go the other way, or do we still have a fair bit of the trend left? That's all the form reading information, and that's where most of your trading dollars are going to come from. You can have all of Gann's cycles, but if you don't have the basic trading and form reading skills, there's very little chance you're going to make money from those cycles. It's that important. Where did I learn form reading? 2 places: Gann's book, How to Make Profits in Commodities, and Safety in the Markets Active Trader Program. I'd recommend the website wdgann.com for buying How to Make Profits in Commodities. You'll find it cheaper on Amazon and places like that, but they're not the same version of the book. You want the original book if you're going to study that. I'm not affiliated with wdgann.com or with Safety in the Market. I was a student and also a teacher at Safety in the Market, but I'm not affiliated with them. This is not like a lot of YouTube videos where they recommend something because they get a cut for it. This is just me giving you the most helpful advice that I can, that based on my experience in the market, you want to learn form reading, go through these 2 options here: How to Make Profits in Commodities, Active Trader Program. Next on my checklist is to look for a low risk entry, because the reward to risk ratio is the key. As an example, take a look at these 2 moves and tell me which one you'd prefer to take. Move number 1 or move number 2. At first glance, you're going to be tempted by move number 1 because it looks nice and big and steep. But for me as a trader, I'm happy taking either of those as long as I can get a good entry into the market. If I can get a good entry close to the start of that move, I can get a good reward to risk ratio on the trade. But even if I get into that move number 1, but I get in late, the reward to risk ratio may not be there. And here's how the mathematics works for that. You could be trading a 1,000 point move in the market, but if you get in late and you've got, say, 200 points risk where you put your stop loss, you're only going to be making 5 to 1. So if you're risking $100 on the trade, you're going to make $500. If you're risking $1,000 on the trade, you're going to be making $5,000. Contrast that with a simple 100 point move in the market that only has 10 points of risk, because you get in very close to the top or bottom there through your form reading skills. If you can get into that move, you can look at a 10 to 1 reward to risk ratio there. Okay, so The key is the reward to risk ratio. It really is your friend. It's not the size of the move, it's how much you're going to make for every dollar that you're risking on that trade. And I will take a high reward to risk ratio trade over a big move any day of the week. The trick is to find a big move and get in with a high reward to risk ratio or a low risk entry, and that's how you get your really big profits in the market. The final item on my checklist is intuition. Does the trade feel good or does the trade smell funny? Intuition is instantaneous reasoning. Your subconscious mind is tracking everything. It's recording everything. You're seeing loads of charts and trade setups and market moves over the years. It's filing all of those away. And each time you look at a trade, it's going to revisit all of those past moves, and it will give you an instant calculation to say something is wrong with this trade or this trade looks really good. And if you slow down and calm down and listen to your intuition, it will often tell you, is this a good trade or not? For me, in the beginning, my intuition was terrible because I hadn't looked at many markets. I hadn't looked at many moves. I didn't know my particular market very well, so it wasn't all that helpful. So I didn't use it for years, but over time, I've started to realize when a trade is going to fail, you often get that little indication, that just that little warning voice that says, there's something wrong with this trade, don't take it. So these days I've learned to listen to my intuition. Again, in the beginning, it's not going to help you that much, but over time, it's going to be really, really valuable for you. So those are the 7 items on my checklist: the major cycle, the medium cycle, the small cycle, the roadmap, form reading, low risk entry, and intuition. If I can tick all of those boxes, I'm happy to take a trade. And then once I'm in the trade, I've got my risk management plan, I've got my trading plan. I just let the trade run its natural course. Why these 7 items? Well, they're based on 25 years of experience in the market. And they come from the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle. 20% of your efforts are going to bring you 80% of your results. So you've got to ask yourself, which techniques give you the best results on your market? I plan to add 3 more boxes, and when I do that, I may take 1 or 2 boxes out, but I do have a few more things in mind that I would like to add into my trading checklist, but I'm in the middle of researching those at the moment. What are some boxes that you tick before taking a trade? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. That's all. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found some value in it. I wish you all the best for your trading. Bye for now.